Good evening, Well Church. So glad to be with you once again. I hope you guys can hear me. That's let's get all the basics out the way. Um, if you can comment or like or do something just to let me know you can hear me. So I'll just get into it. As you can see at the bottom, this one's entitled, "Oh, I'm sorry, I'm different." And when I was coming up with this title, it was based on sometimes when people don't understand who we are or our purpose, and I'm gonna get into purpose, they don't understand why we're the way we are. So, in a sense, it's apologizing to people and saying, you know, based on my purpose, based on why God created me, based on where I come from, the parents I have, that's what makes me who I am. So, I just want to apologize to you because I'm different. And I'm going to get into the scripture. I'm going to talk a little bit about purpose, a little bit about, why God is so mindful of us, and also the importance that we have with our purpose to other people. So I'll just get right to the scripture and we'll get right into this. So I'm coming from the book of Matthew, chapter 10, verses 29 through 31, three simple verses. And according to the NLT, it reads this way: "What is the price of two sparrows? One copper coin, one penny. But not a single sparrow can fall to the ground without your Father knowing it. And the very hairs on your head are all numbered." And I'm going to come back to that. So don't be afraid. You are more valuable to God than a whole flock of sparrows. So why did I pick that scripture? So I was considering purpose. And a lot of times, in this particular time, many of us might not understand our purpose, or many of us might not understand the purpose of this pandemic or the purpose of social injustice. As we can see, I believe it was Wisconsin, we had another situation where a cop shot an unarmed African American. Thank God he survived. I believe I heard he was paralyzed. But even with that, you could wonder, what is the purpose of all these things happening? And how do I relate to them based on my purpose? So in a world with over 7.5 billion people, it's amazing how different I am from them all. And not just by race or gender, height, weight, age, country, or species, but by my purpose. I'm also differentiated from other people, other humans, by my purpose. And I was thinking about that, and I was like, I asked myself a question. I said, we have an issue with respecting one another. Maybe not me, maybe not you, but I'm pretty sure we've had all these instances where in times past, we did something disrespectful to someone, or someone did something disrespectful to us. And you start to wonder what the purpose is of that happening. And I started to look at people versus purpose. And I asked myself this question, and you may ask yourself this question. Instead of saying there are 7.5 billion people on Earth, if we said there are 7.5 billion purposes on Earth, I wonder if we respect the people more. Because look at it this way. You may like the whole cast of characters in a movie, but just them being characters in a movie isn't enough. You also want to watch the movie to understand the purpose of the movie, the purpose of the characters. So if we gave more respect to each purpose, when you see someone walking down the street, that's not a person, that's a purpose. And maybe we would have more respect for them because we want to see the outcome of their purpose. So why did it take so many people to get to me and you? Now, what do I mean when I say that? Why was I born when I was born? Why wasn't I born 2,000 years ago? Why wasn't I born 10,000 years ago? Why wasn't I born in the future sometime? Why was I born when I was born? Why did it take so many people being born for it to be my turn? And the Lord kind of told me that that's not the right question. And he corrected me in saying the right question is, why did it take so many people born to get to my purpose or to get to your purpose? Right? So in other words, why was Reverend Bazemore born in 1977? Right? Like, why was that my year? In my mind, I'm thinking, well, my parents, and they met up with each other, and they did what they do to make babies, and then it was my turn. But the Lord told me it's a little bit more deeper than that. Your purpose is the reason, the time you're born. What God needs at that time, what God needed in 1977, the purpose, was the reason I came. And I know you may think, well, like, what do you mean? There is nobody who can replace you and your purpose. That's why you had to come here. So when you came here, first God sent your purpose. And then you came in on the vehicle, you came behind your purpose through your parents. But the purpose was set by God for your timing. So that's why I started to feel purpose is more important than the person. And I'm going to get back to that. So the focus I want to focus on in the particular scriptures, when God said, every one of your hairs on your head are numbered. Now, I used to think that means God knows how many hairs are on your head. And for 7.5 billion purposes, times as much hair is on your head, that's a lot to know. So I thought that was fantastic. But that's not what the scripture says. The scripture says every one of your hairs are numbered, which makes each one distinct from the other. So however many hairs I have on my head, not only does he know the total amount, but he knows the differences between each one and what they mean. So when I thought about that, I said, wow, how do I look at something like that? He's using my hair to explain something, but let's take into a bigger, broader picture, right? Like, let's scale this. Let's go like this. If God needed to send down 10,000 blessings, he would not just send down 10,000 blessings. He would send down 10,000 blessings catered to each person at the place, at the time, in the way that they need them, so that they might know he is particularly mindful of them while simultaneously doing that for everyone. So I'm going to say that again. He sends down 10,000 blessings. They're not the same. Even if 10,000, oh my God, even if 10,000 prayers are the same, the 10,000 answers are still yet different, because they're catered to you and your purpose at your time, at your place, in a way that makes you feel you are particularly being cared for by him, and he's able to do this particularity to everybody, so that everyone feels so special, even though there are many of us. So that purpose serves more than just a person asking for a blessing or sending up a prayer request. He's saying this, that person is asking, but I've got to send that blessing down because I sent my purpose when they were born, and I got to see my purpose through. Because if I see my purpose through, I'm going to see that person through. So when God is looking at the hairs on my head and they're all numbered, that means he knows the differences between hair follicle number 13 and hair follicle number 2007. Now I'm just thinking, okay, I got 10,000 hairs on my head, but he knows the distinct difference between which one. He knows which one is getting ready to turn gray and which one is getting ready to fall out. Now you might think you don't have a purpose. Or you might think, well, if there's 7.5 billion people or purposes on earth, why do I matter? Well, let me put this example this way. You have 10,000 hairs on your head. 15, 20 of them get pulled out for whatever reason. And shout out to my godson, Amari Wilson. He can appreciate this. You all can ask him about that story when you see him. If I've got 10,000 hairs on my head and 20 or 25 of them are missing, now I have a bald spot on my head. So when you look at the grander picture, you might not think you or your purpose is important. But when you look at it from a bigger scale, something is missing that needs to be there, that's supposed to be there to fulfill the purpose of the entire head. So understand your importance. Understand the importance of your person, and you'll better understand why God is taking you through what he's taking you through. So saints, you got to know we're different. Each one of us are different. Each one of us was created for a particular purpose to fulfill for God. And sometimes you don't know what your purpose is till you've already walked in it. And you look back at hindsight and said, you know what? That was actually an incident that I wasn't even supposed to be there. But if I wasn't there, this person wouldn't have been able to get helped. This person wouldn't be able to get help and then tell their testimony in order to help somebody else. So remember, we can't look at 7.5 billion people. We've got to understand there are 7.5 billion purposes on this earth that God is looking to fulfill, which is the reason why we were created. So this is not an America or Europe or South America or Russia kind of thing. This is a collective human race walking around, feel a bunch of purposes walking around trying to find their way out. So when you look at it, you do have to say, oh, I'm sorry, I'm different. But why am I different? Because my purpose is different. And nobody who has ever existed and nobody who ever will exist will have my purpose. So I had to come here. And you may think, well, what about stillborn births and abortions and things where people didn't fulfill their purpose? You have no idea what an abortion purpose can do. You have no idea what a stillborn person being born can do. You have no idea what a person who serves the rest of their life in jail can do. Where people move around has nothing to do with their purpose. That's where God needs them to be. And there's blood and there's sweat and there's tears in all that we go through. There's anguish in all that we go through. But saints, understand you're different because your purpose is different. Somebody needs you. So if you feel like you don't belong here, or if you feel suicidal, understand you have a weight on your shoulder called purpose. And somebody can't afford for you to die. Somebody can't afford for you to take your life unexpectedly, because that messes up what they need for their purpose. So you see the network of what God created, that it doesn't matter how far we are in terms of where we live on the globe, we're all connected. Now you can understand that better because it doesn't matter where you are on the globe, the internet connects us all. So you can see how that was mirrored from God's networking, how you can be far apart and still be connected. So the next time someone has an issue with you, the next time someone doesn't get you, the next time someone doesn't understand your psychology or your behavior, just tell them, I'm sorry, I didn't explain this to you. I'm different. I've got a different purpose. And it's not always going to look the norm. It's not always going to look like everybody else. We've got to stand out as saints and as Christians because of the purpose of Christianity. But then we have to stand out as church members because of the purpose of the well. And then we got to stand out as upstanding citizens because of the purpose of the country. And then we even got to stand out as good individuals of our home for the well-being of our own home. So saints, you are not a person, you are a purpose. You can't just kill a purpose. You might kill a person, but you can't kill a purpose. And understand you got here because of that purpose. That purpose came and you followed it. Now find out what that purpose is. And 9 times out of 10, you're already doing it. And 9 times out of 10, you're doing it with ease. Magnify that and begin to share with other people so that your purpose can be fulfilled. So that you're just not a purpose or a person on this earth, but you are a purpose waiting to be fulfilled. God has numbered you. And he knows the distinction between the hairs on your head. So he certainly knows the distinction between the individual, even between two twins, even between quintuplets and sextuplets, whatever they are. He has different purposes for each one, and you'll see it in the differences in their character. So understand you're important, not because you're a person, but because you're a person. I'm sorry, saints. I just happen to be different. Well, that's all I have, saints. Keep praying. Keep praying for the well. Keep praying for members of the well. You never know what's going on. We're not in a position where we can meet at the church. So a lot of people are confined and quarantined in their homes, and you just don't know what's going on in people's homes. You don't know health issues. You don't know marital issues. You don't know financial issues. Saints, if you didn't ever pray, pray hard now. And not just for yourself, but for others and your purpose. So that's all I had tonight, saints. I hope that meant something to you. I hope you can take that and apply it in your everyday life. You are important to God, because if your hairs are important, the person who embodies the hairs have to be important. So guys, I love you. I thank you so much. I can't wait to see some of you soon. And I can't wait till God gets us back to a point where we begin to congregate again. But saints, keep praying for the well and its members. I love you. I thank you. And I bless you. Have a good night.